We're back on short rest to talk NBA. We did the preseason report back in November. We're back to update that and give our midseason report as we enter the stretch run. Happy Friday, Deuce. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you? That music got me feeling some type of way.
I needed something like that after this long week.
Yeah, real grinder.
The man.
The man always starts to throw haymakers at you when you start feeling good.
It's even worse when it's 20 degrees outside in February.
Yeah. I actually see grass outside my window for the first time in a while, so I'm not going to complain.
It looks pretty good tomorrow, as we had talked about.
Yeah, 60 degrees, I think, for most people tomorrow. Maybe even down by Coach might even see 70. So
A
little break. I think you'll start to see more of these nice weather days starting to pop up here.
a nice break, but just a tease.
Yeah, just a tease, I think, for a little while. I think you'll start to see the roller coaster kick in.
Well, let's hop into the NBA. I went back and listened to our podcast from November, beginning of November, and wrote some things down. We'll start in the East with what we got right. We'll start in Chicago, where we thought they'd take a step back. They're currently just one game over 500. Obviously, Jimmy Butler going down has helped us with our prediction. But do you see them making a move in the last 30 games here?
I think it depends on Jimmy Butler. I thought they would make a move at the deadline. They didn't. The deadline was pretty boring. I think now they have to decide what they want. Do they want to sneak into the playoffs here and, try to get a healthy Jimmy Butler and maybe win a game or two against somebody, or try to steal a series, or do they want to try and roll the dice in the lottery? But it looks like Joakim Noah is gone in the offseason. Gasol is 34. Derrick Rose, I'm assuming, probably gone in the offseason. So really you have Jimmy Butler and a couple of young pieces. I think Taj Gibson also is a free agent. I think they should start looking towards next year. If I were them, that's what I would be doing.
Yeah, they've lost 5 in a row going into the break. They were 2-8 in their last 10. Currently in the 8 seed. If they were to get healthy and remain in that 7 or 8 seed, is that a scary matchup for a 1-2 seed?
The Butler matchup is a tough one, I think, but other than that, I can't see them really making any noise against Cleveland. They just don't have anyone that really scores, so that scares you of scoring besides Butler. Gibson can do a couple things, Gasol can do a couple things, but I don't see who they have on their team that I actually think Kevin Love would have a really nice matchup advantage against anyone that's going to be guarding him.
Sticking with Love and mentioning the 1 or 2 seed, Cleveland currently in the 1 seed. They fired Blatt. Did that surprise you at all?
No, I wasn't sure why they hired him in the first place. I'm surprised he wasn't fired at the end of last season, to be honest.
In the preseason preview that we did, we talked about LeBron's minutes adding up over time. Is that a concern going into the remainder of the season and then ultimately the playoffs?
It has to be. I mean, he's averaging 36 minutes a game, basically. I thought they would get him down around 30, but they haven't. He's sort of borderline Kobe, like when he came into the league, and his age is a little bit deceiving. He's not a true 31-year-old. He's basically a 35-year-old playing in the NBA at this point, I think, with the minutes he's logged, especially with the playoffs. What has he been to 5 straight finals?
Yeah, I thought that they should take it more through Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving in the regular season to try and take some of the minutes off him, even if he's on the floor. But lately, it seems like it's going through Love a little bit more. But I still think they need to do it more.
I agree. I think they should, especially in the East. I would like to see more Iman Shumpert, more Timothy Mozgov, and less of Mo Williams and J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I thought that they could have made some depth moves at the deadline yesterday. Picking up Channing Frye certainly helps, but do they have enough depth in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, if you, I think the depth, especially on defense, I actually like. I like Deladova. I like Thompson. I like Shumpert defensively. I still think everything with them hinges on Irving and Love. If LeBron is not allowed to have a bad game, I just don't know how you can sustain that. So, Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving has got to stay healthy. He's had some injuries in the past. Seems like every year. When he's healthy, I like what he does. But he's also prone to having one of those games where he goes 2 for 13 like Love does. So I think they're fine depth-wise in the East especially. But I think it's the two other of the quote-unquote big three that in the playoffs, they need to step up finally.
Yeah, we both predicted the Cavaliers to go to the NBA Finals again in the preseason preview. Are they a lock in the East, or is it a little bit more wide open than you thought?
Maybe not a lock. I forget the word you used the other day when we were talking, but I think the Toronto and Boston can give them some issues. The problem is over a 7-game series. I think they're going to be tough to beat in the East, especially if they get smart with the size advantage they have with Thompson, Mozgov, and Love. I'm just not sure in the East if who could really stop that if they want to do it. Even with LeBron, if you put LeBron at the 2, you played those 3 and you have Kyrie. I think that's a pretty formidable lineup.
Yeah, perfect segue into Toronto and Boston. One of the things we were a little bit wrong on was we worried that Toronto would take a step back and they were running into a dead end that they'd have to either go for it all or blow it up. And they are in somewhat of a situation like that. But they do lead the Atlantic by 3 games and have 3 games in hand as well. We both picked Boston to win the Atlantic, and Brad Stevens has done a good job there. How surprised are you at Toronto?
They're good, but like you said, even despite their record, I still think they are in that blowing up mode. I'm just not sure who you go to at the end of the game. I'm not sure if they have the defensive players at the 3, 4, 5 spots that are going to be able to stop people. I mean, we both loved Kyle Lowry for the last 10 years. He's playing great again this year. DeRozan, wasn't sure what he was going to be in the league, but he could score. He doesn't do much else, though. They don't really have DeMar Carroll, I guess, the one guy that is more Swiss Army knife. But if DeRozan has an off night, it was proved last year that you can shut down Lowry. I just don't know if they have the scoring guys to be able to compete with Cleveland.
And then your thoughts on Boston thus far, and what do you expect?
I like Boston. The 3-guard lineup, it's weird that somehow it works with those 3 guys, Smart, Thomas, and Avery. I would never have thought it would work, but it does work. I have similar reservations with them. I'm not sure if there's 2 minutes left in the game. I'm not sure who you go to. I guess it's Isaiah Thomas, but I'm not sure if he's that guy. I like him more off the bench, 6th man. They have a lot of good players. They just don't have those 2 or 3 really, really good players to get them over the hump. But I like where they're going. I mean, they have so many assets. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing you touched upon when we talked about Cleveland a couple minutes ago, if they were a lock, Toronto and Boston, who seem to be their biggest competitors to stop Cleveland from getting to the finals, they don't have anybody to guard LeBron at the 3 spot.
No. And if they do, to that point, if they sacrifice a double team or something, Cleveland could beat them up inside pretty badly with other players.
Yeah.
Especially Boston. Boston's pretty Crowder and Olenek and Sellinger. I like them. They're nice pieces, but I think they're undersized for what they're playing.
We both picked Boston to win the Atlantic. Do you think they could overcome the 3-game deficit with about 30 to go?
Yeah, I don't see why not. The association is a league of runs, so I think there's still time left. If we're here in 3 weeks and they're still got the deficit, maybe not, but I think they can pick up a couple of their next games up on the road. They got a 3-game road trip, I believe, coming up where they play Utah, Denver, Minnesota. 3 winnable games for them, so they're gonna have to win a couple games on the road though to do it.
Sticking in the Atlantic, you made a prediction that Derek Fisher would be gone by year's end or at year's end, and I was surprised when you said that, and surprised that it happened when it happened. How surprised were you?
I guess I have to say not that surprised, although I thought their record would be worse. I guess if you had told me before the season it was going to happen mid-season, they went on a horrific losing streak, and I guess Phil had seen enough. I can't feel bad for Derek Fisher, though, because he made a ton of money.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he was the 4th highest paid coach in the league or something, so I guess a little surprised based on their record and, being in the East, but I thought it would happen eventually. Just happened a little bit sooner than I originally thought.
Yeah, they currently sit 5 games out of the 8 seed. It seems like a lot of a mountain to climb. Where do they go from here? Carmelo's 31. Seems like he's on the downside with the knees that he has. Where do you go if you're the Knicks?
It's a good question. I really thought they would try to move Melo. He's averaging 21 a game. He's only shooting 42%. Things don't look good for him, especially if you're going to try to build around him. But you do have our boy Kristaps Porzingis to build around. They have some attractive contracts they could give away, but they do not have any pieces really. I wish Clay Anthony early would get some more run. He's basically at the bottom of their bench. See what you have in him at least. He should be getting more play than Lance Thomas, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Melo scores 21 a game, and your next best player is Aaron Aflalo. So I think you got to get what you can for Melo. Maybe he has a good second half of the season. You can move him in the off season. I don't know, but I think you got to gut it and build around Porzingis.
Yeah, I think touching on Clay Anthony early, I think you're right on that they got to see what they have on that bench, and I do think that they have to move Melo in this offseason.
I mean, you know what Lance Thomas is, right? Why not see what Early is? Early looked great in the tournament, I thought, his last year in college.
Yeah, I liked him.
I'm not sure why he's not getting more run.
I thought that was a good late first-round draft pick for the Knicks.
So did I. Derek Williams is getting almost 20 minutes a game. Lance Thomas is getting 20 minutes a game. You know what they are. At this point, I don't see a problem or a reason why Early should not be getting more play. But you got one big asset in Porzingis who looks very promising. I think you got to get rid of Melo. You got to get some assets for him while you can.
I'm sure that you read that Tom Thibodeau would love to coach the Knicks. How terrible of a fit would that be with Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah.
And Thibodeau's defensive style.
Work with Melo. I think you're spot on with that guess. I would like to hire, though, if they could somehow get rid of Melo.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is time to move on from Melo and build around Porzingis.
At this point in his career, it's probably tough with the money he's making, but Melo would be a really, really good third player the guy that gets you 20 a game on a contender.
Yeah, we talked about him being moved to Miami. The pieces would be tough to match up, but that would seem like the perfect fit.
Yeah, if you're the Pelicans, Anthony Davis is with you for the next 5 years. The rest of your team is pretty bad. Ryan Anderson's probably going to be moving on. I'm not sure why you don't try to trade some of those expiring deals and get rid of some of those terrible contracts and get Melo.
Sticking in the Atlantic, your prediction of Brooklyn Philly, that Philly would finish better than Brooklyn. There's another mountain to climb. Philly currently 8-45, Brooklyn 14-40. Are the Sixers in position to make a second half run?
2 or 3 weeks ago, there were some games that the 76ers just ripped my heart out and made this bet almost unwinnable at this point. I can't remember what the games were. I think they lost in OT to the Clippers.
They were up 19 in the second half against the Clippers.
And then they lost. I think they let Sacramento score like 100 in the fourth the next night.
Yes.
They just have found ways to really screw me over. And I think I turned that game on in the third, and Covington had like 27, and they were up by 19 or 20. I was like, wow, this might actually happen for me. But at this point, I'm not sure they're going to win another game.
They, I don't even know what to say about them, really.
Although I'm looking at their schedule right now, so it looks like the Nets and the Sixers play March 11th and March 15th. That could be pivotal. They have some tough games. They got to play Golden State again. They got to play Oklahoma City, but they also get my Bullets, I think, 3 times. So that could be 3 easy wins for your 6.
The Six were 1-30 when they traded for Ish Smith. They're 7-15 since he came on board, and as you mentioned, they probably lost 3 or 4 games that they should have won.
Yeah, it's I think the number is 3 that I was counting before this podcast. So I had them. They should be at like 11 wins, which would make this bet much more interesting. I still have hope. I'm still hopeful.
One question I have to ask: does Billy King get hired again?
I thought I read yesterday that he is a consultant for the Clippers right now.
That explains why the Clippers are on the on the bad train.
Let me double check that, but I swear I thought I saw that he was a consultant. I don't know if they list consultants as actual job titles in the association or how you even find that. But he was the Lance Stevenson trade talks. He was the one behind that, apparently. So he's out there still. He's out there ruining other stuff.
Moving along to the Central, and Detroit basketball, who we both thought were going to be the surprise in the East, currently sit at 27-27. But we both feel that they made a great deal in getting Tobias Harris. Currently a half game behind Chicago for that 8 seed.
Yeah, they've lost 3 in a row, so they need to turn it around here. But like you said, I love the trade for Harris. I don't mind Brandon Jennings, but he was not playing a ton. He was not doing a ton. It kind of looked like his role had been stifled by or stolen by Caldwell Pope, who I like better. He's more of a pure shooter than Jennings is. So now you're running out of lineup with Jackson Drummond, Caldwell Pope, Marcus Morris, Stanley Johnson, and our boy Tobias Harris. A lot of versatility right there, and a lot of tough matchups, I think, for other teams if they can sneak in.
It would seem that they're going to get hot at some point in the second half with some of the moves they made and the way they've played. They're only 3.5 games behind the 5 seed. It's pretty clustered there from 5 to 8.
Yeah. Yeah, they're only a game and a half back of Indiana for the second spot in Central. If you're lining up rosters, Chicago, Indiana, some of the other teams, I'll even throw Washington in there. I like their roster better than anybody, I think, in the mix there. So I would love to see them make a run, and I think they can do it.
They would pose some matchup issues for some teams in the playoffs. I don't think that there's anybody in the East that could guard Andre Drummond and keep him off the glass. And they could throw a lot of different lineups out there.
I agree. I think Tobias Harris brings just another guy that can score from multiple spots on the floor. Has a really solid height advantage over most threes. He's got some range if a four is going to guard him. I really like them. I hope they make a run. I think they're fun to watch. And you know I love my boy Reggie Jackson, especially in playoff basketball. So we'll see. I wish they had made maybe one more move to get a guy like, I think you brought this up, like Corver. I think you could have gotten him for almost nothing. He hasn't had a good year. I wish they had one more guy like that, but, Harris was a good get.
Yeah, I think you're right. One thing we were wrong about in the Central was the Bucks possibly taking a step forward. It appears they've taken a step back.
Greg Monroe, I think, I don't want to put it all on him, but, he's been a big bust so far, free agent-wise. They struggle to score. They have a lot of guys that seem like they don't fit well together on the court with Middleton, Carter Williams, and Monroe. I still like some of their pieces. I just don't think they have the right package to gel. I think Middleton, Monroe, Giannis, Carter Williams, Parker, Bayless, they're all they sort of need the ball to score. So I think in the offseason you'll see some sort of deal with two or three of those guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. They have. I think they need to decide two or three, maybe four of those guys who they're going to keep. The other, and then get rid of three. Some of those guys have some value to get some assets back, but they all don't fit together, as you mentioned. And there's such a lot of those guys are liabilities on the defensive end that they're giving up 100, 110 points a game and putting so much pressure on themselves to score.
Yeah, really good point about the defense.
Moving along to the Southeast Division, the other thing that we were wrong about was my boy Tiago Splitter being the best offseason acquisition. He's averaged 5 and 3 and is now out for the year.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I guess I don't know. Something is going on with that team as a whole anyway, so maybe he was just affected by that. I'm not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, I don't think the Hawks are gonna get to the Eastern Finals or anything like that. But I was surprised to hear the talk of them possibly blowing everything up.
Yeah, Horford is a free agent. I'm sure that played a role in that because I guess they get the feeling that he does not want to be there anymore. I think the Hawks are basically the same team as last year, and they're the same team as the Raptors. They're built very similarly, so I think they are looking at themselves in a different way, though. They see themselves as needing to blow it up to get better, or else the word you use is purgatory.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked they actually didn't make moves yesterday, but I think they'll blow it up in the offseason because I don't think they can do anything in the playoffs.
One interesting team, and it's going to depend on Bosch's health, is Miami, currently sitting in the 5 seed. If they were to finish in the 4 or 5 seed with a healthy Bosch, that second round matchup with Cleveland would be very interesting.
Totally agree. I actually think this is a good spot for them if Bosch is healthy. I'd rather see them get it out of the way than put Miles on Wade with a series or two before they played Cleveland.
Yeah, I think you're right. They would have
I like them in the first round against Cleveland if he's healthy.
They would have Winslow to guard LeBron, and then they have Whiteside in the middle who could cause some issues.
Yeah, the latest I saw was further testing out indefinitely for Bosch. No Bosch though. I don't know if they have enough to do that because he's a 20-point-a-game guy now. So, just not sure who they would go to. I guess Dragic would have to step up big time.
Moving along, you were spot on about your Bullets. Give me your assessment so far, and what do you expect as we move forward?
Yeah, they're so frustrating. They got one of the Morris twins yesterday, just as I guess something for the fans. I don't know. It's depressing, but John Wall's still really good. He's really all they have, though. I mean, Nene is just a shell of what he used to be, even though they paid him all that money. Gortat's a really good defender and rebounder, but offensively he doesn't provide much. Beal can't stay healthy, but when he does play, I mean, he's a 20-point-a-game guy, a really good wing shooter. I think the problem was they bet on Otto Porter taking that next big step, but really Otto Porter is a 6, 7, 8 man off the bench at the very best. A guy that might come in and get you 10 points, but he's not a starter in the NBA. And then their backup point guards, Gary Neal and Ramon Sessions, they thought would provide more of a spark than they have. They really lack depth, too. I mean, basically, they play a ton of different guys trying to find a spark every night. Nene, Gary Neal, Garrett Temple, Chris Humphries, ex-Wizard now, Kelly Oubre, Drew Gooden, they all average double-digit minutes, but none of them produce at that level. So Durant obviously is on their mind, so I guess they're going to suffer through it for one more year. I'm assuming they'll pay Bradley Beal his second contract, which will probably be, I think it's 4 years, $45 million is the slot for him. So they'll suffer for it one more year, and then they'll go after Durant.
They have one of the easier schedules coming down the stretch. Can they get back in it?
Yeah, I think they'll make a run at the 8th seed. I think they'll actually sneak in. If Beal is healthy, I think they sneak in, but I wouldn't be shocked if they just get pounded and swept round 1.
Cavs Heat was your prediction for the Eastern Finals. This was obviously before we saw anything, and depending on the seeding, it may not happen. You sticking with the Cavs to come out of the East?
I am sticking with the Cavs, yes.
I'm also sticking with the Cavs. I had Cavs Bullets, but as mentioned, you were right on that the Bullets would struggle a little bit this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both struggled to pick that second team to face the Cavs. So I think we were kind of right in that sense, where we were both picking the Cavs, and that was basically it.
Moving along to the West, a lot of it is how I think most people thought it would go. With Golden State, I don't know if anybody expected 48-4, but
I didn't.
No, they're the 1 seed currently. I didn't expect San Antonio to be having as good a year as they did. We both expressed some concern with their depth, but at 45-9, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, I still like San Antonio. I think my thinking with them is the same as it was 3 months ago. It's all about health in the playoffs. I think they have the guys to beat anybody, even Golden State, especially if they want to go big. So I'm just in a wait-and-see mode with Golden State or San Antonio to see if they can get healthy come playoff time.
The 3 seed currently, who was our prediction for Coach of the Year, Billy Donovan, Oklahoma City. We saw them play Golden State probably 2 weeks ago now. Can they handle Golden State in a 7-game series?
I like them more in a 7-game series against Golden State than I do in a 1-game series, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I think they have the best matchups against Golden State. If you watch the last matchup with them, Russell Westbrook had absolutely zero fear of Steph Curry guarding him. In the fourth quarter especially, he just asked for the ball and basically bull charged Curry every time. And if Bogut wasn't there in the lane or Draymond wasn't in the lane to help, it was an easy basket every time. Durant had a huge game. I thought Draymond struggled to stay with him with that much range. They have the best matchups to beat Golden State. I stick by that. And I think Ibaka and Cantor, they're kind of the X factors. I'm not sure how you use them against Golden State when they go small. I guess in that scenario, Dion Waiters really has to play a lot better when Golden State goes small ball.
Yeah, we exchanged texts during that game, and we both thought that the area that Oklahoma City that cost them was Waiters later in the game when Curry was playing them. They didn't have anybody to expose Curry's defense. I think yesterday's acquisition of Randy Foye could go under the radar a little bit. He might be able to expose Curry late in the game.
Your boy Randy Foye back from the dead.
He could at least make a couple jumpers. He's big and strong, take Curry down in the post. I don't know if that's how Billy Donovan will use him, but I think he's a better option than Waiters later in the game to expose Curry.
Yeah, I haven't seen Randy Foye play much in the last couple of years, but I always liked his size. Waiters has the body to expose Curry. He just doesn't. I don't know if he's aggressive enough to expose Curry. I mean, Westbrook is probably similar in size, but he just goes right at Curry because he knows he can't play defense. And I think Foye has that same type of mentality. So I agree with you. I like the move.
Oklahoma City's probably also one of the only teams that could go big or small against them. I mean, you could throw Ibaka at the 5, Durant at the 4, and then Westbrook, Waiters, and Foye to round it out.
I agree. I like that.
Or, as you mentioned, with Cantor and Ibaka on the floor at the same time, move Durant to the 3.
Yeah, I can't wait, and I wish we could just fast forward to the Western Conference Finals. I know I picked the Oklahoma City and the Spurs to match up, but I would love to see Thunder Warriors. I think that'd be the more exciting series.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. The 4 seed currently is the Clippers. They seem like they're in a disarray. It all makes sense now that you had mentioned Billy King's on board. But to me, Doc Rivers, he's struggling to me. I don't think he knows what to do with his team. I know that Blake Griffin's hurt right now, but I don't. Maybe they don't have the pieces, but I've been unimpressed with Doc Rivers this year.
Yeah, when I was looking earlier, I didn't realize how good the record was. I thought it was much worse.
I believe that they're 19-4 maybe without Griffin.
Yeah, they haven't really played anybody, so they've reeled off some wins against bad teams. I thought I saw a stat that they have not beaten a team with a winning record without Griffin. So that's probably part of it. I think it's, to your first point, I think it's more they tried to find that third guy, and they swung and missed with Lance Stevenson and Jamal Crawford. I think is more of the bench player, but they have him playing the 3, and they just, besides Griffin and Paul, and sometimes J.J. Redick, who you can't really count on to be that scorer, the Pierce, Stevenson, Crawford, Austin Rivers foursome just hasn't done it this year, and I would not bet on them in the playoffs to step it up either. So I think you hit it on the head with the team construction.
Yeah, Jordan becomes a liability in the fourth quarter with his terrible free throw shooting. Chris Paul, they have no backup point guard. He's being asked to log a lot of minutes.
Yep.
And then Crawford becomes a liability on the defensive end when he's on the floor. Yep. And I think Pierce is being asked to play out of position because other guys because of the changes they have to make late in the game. So yeah, they're poorly constructed right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it in a playoff game, they really only have one way to score in the fourth quarter, and that's the Paul and Griffin pick and roll. That's all they have.
Which
and
is,
you know, that in the playoffs comes down to the versatility, running good offense, playing good defense. They only have one way to score, and that's pretty easily defended, I think.
yeah. But I mean, Paul and Griffin are a nice option for the pick and roll, but I think anybody in the NBA would sign up for Griffin shooting a 15 to 18-foot jumper.
I agree. You know, he might get burned one game, but I'll take that in the 7-game series all day.
The 5 seed currently, the Memphis Grizzlies, they seem like they're going to be stuck between the 4 and 6 seed for eternity.
Yeah.
Do you see that changing at all in the second half?
No, I think they'll do some things in the off season. I think Conley's a free agent.
He is. What do you think?
I think they'll wait and make changes. You know, whoever they play in the first round, they might steal something, but whoever they'll punch somebody in the eye, they'll bruise somebody up, but they're the same team we've seen for the last 8 years.
Conley is a free agent at the end of the year. What do you do if you're Memphis?
From what I've read, they're going to let him walk.
Interesting.
They're not. He's going to command too much money, more than they want to pay. So, not sure where they go from there. I guess you build around Mark Gasol, since you just paid him last year. Zach Randolph's getting up there. Tony Allen's getting up there. You just traded Jeff Green, so kind of smells like a total rebuild to me.
Yeah, jumping ahead a little bit, we both, one of the things we were right about in the West in the preseason preview was Ricky Rubio is not a point guard, and he cannot take Minnesota to the next step. Would you throw a lot of money at Mike Conley if you're Minnesota?
Oh, interesting. Didn't think about that one, but I kind of like that, actually. I love the toughness he brings. Still one of the faster players in the league. He can score. His jumper is much improved than when he came out of Ohio State. I like that move a lot. I think I would.
Yeah, he could obviously score, and then playing with Gasol and Zach Randolph, he knows how to get the bigger guys the ball in position, which he can do with Towns.
Wow, I like that a lot. Now that you're bringing that up, you would run out Conley, Wiggins, Levine. You'd have Shabazz and Kevin Martin, Pekovic. Yeah, I like that. I think that would be a good move for them.
And they'll be in the lottery again, so they'll be adding another young piece.
Yeah, I like it. I think they need to get some more depth. Their 7 through whatever guy at the bench is not very good. I mean, they still have players like Tayshaun Prince and Andre Miller. So I think they need to get some guys that can produce off the bench. But Conley would be a great addition.
It's disappointing to me that Andre Miller didn't get traded to a playoff team like he does every year.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the Wizards there for a while, and I saw enough of Andre Miller.
The 6th seed, the Dallas Mavericks, have certainly surprised me. I didn't think that their team was constructed well. Your thoughts on the Mavericks?
I agreed with you. I did not think that they were going to be a factor this year. I think the crutch of that argument was that Dirk would finally start to show a decline, and he has to some extent, but I didn't expect him to still play at the level that he's playing. I think he's averaging 18 or 19 a game, and I don't think either one of us expected Darren Williams to resurrect and become a zombie.
Yeah.
He's playing pretty well, so I think those are the two big surprises. Chandler Parsons has been hurt, but when he's on the floor, I like him. And Wesley Matthews looks like he's coming back pretty strong from that Achilles injury.
They're currently the 6th seed. Would you have any fear playing them if you're top 3 seed?
No, I think I'd want to play them in a 7-game series. They would be who I would want to play.
Agree. 7 seed, the Portland Trailblazers. I think a little higher than we expected, but they're hovering right around 500. They've gotten a great year out of C.J. McCollum.
Yeah, but I mean, you could make an argument that they're one of the better backcourts in the league with Lillard and McCollum. Lillard's averaging close to 25 a game, and McCollum is averaging 20 a game. So their backcourt is set. It looks like Myers Leonard looks like a decent piece at the center position, but other than that, they need to fill some other holes in their team. Their 3 and 4 positions are just filled with a bunch of guys that are the same, like Bonalay, Harkless, Ed Davis, Aminu. Those are all the same player, and they're all underachievers.
8 seed currently was my pick to go to the Western Finals, the Houston Rockets. That team is just in an absolute disarray.
I can't believe you picked a team with Dwight Howard on it to do something.
You said that in the preview, and you were right on.
Dude, I mean, I can't blame you. They have some pieces, but he's like Terrell Owens. He's just a team obliterator. That's what he is.
How about if I give you this news? Does this change your opinion of the Rockets at all? That yesterday, a full participant in practice was Sam Decker.
I love Sam Decker. I heard his name in some trade talks, and I was hoping the other team was the Wizards on the other end. But it does change my mind. I would love to see him start getting some run.
I asked you this a couple weeks back. Any fear of playing Houston in the first round if you're a top seed?
I would not have any fear. I would just, double James Harden and let Mark Thornton, Dwight Howard, and Trevor Ariza go to town. Josh Smith, just let them all try to make outside jumpers. No fear at all.
Yeah, I guess the only thing would be if Dwight Howard ever decided to start playing basketball.
Yeah.
But he hasn't in the last 10 years.
I don't know if
so.
you listened to another podcast that was throwing out trade scenarios. I think Dwight's in a contract here, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he does turn it on in the playoffs to try to get another deal. But I would have loved to have seen the Portland Trailblazers add him for a 3-month rental and make a little bit of a run with that backcourt.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting scenario.
I thought that made a ton of sense for both teams.
Yeah, I think what I read was Houston was asking for too much in return.
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure. I guess they probably would have to give up tons of assets, Myers Leonard included, which I don't think they're ready to do yet.
Utah's lurking. Denver still in striking distance. Either of those teams make a run at the 8th seed?
I think Houston and Portland are better constructed than Utah is. Utah is a very weirdly constructed team to me. I know they had to pay Gordon Hayward, but I don't know. Something about him I don't like. He just doesn't shoot the ball well at all. I like Derek Favors still. I think he's kind of buried out there in Utah, but I think he's really good. Hood has been a good find as a rookie, but the Trey Burke, Alex Burks point guard combo doesn't do anything for me. So I like Houston and Portland more than I like Utah.
We have Minnesota, Phoenix, the Lakers, Sacramento, and New Orleans at the bottom. Any of those surprise you?
I think the New Orleans ones is surprising, right?
Yeah. I think we both thought that they could get up to the 4 seed this year maybe as their ceiling. But I think it has come to the forefront how poorly constructed that team is.
Yeah, if you're Anthony Davis, you got to be really regretting signing so quickly with them. The Eric Gordon, Drew Holiday, Tyreek Evans combination is just cannonballing that team, I think.
if you're New Orleans, I know it's not ideal, and they probably wouldn't do it, but do you just sit down Anthony Davis for the rest of the year and try and improve your ping pong balls?
Yeah, I think you got to try. They have to try to get a decent draft pick because I can't imagine that's an attractive destination besides Davis being there for a free agent. You got to go with a ping pong ball, and you have to somehow. You probably have to sacrifice a year with the salary cap, but you got to unload Tyreek and Holiday and Gordon. They're just tubers on your team.
The other guy who's eating a lot of salary is Omir Ashik.
I forgot he was even there. Oh my God, yeah. You got Kendrick Perkins probably eats the salary. You got to gut some of these old retread players off your team.
Yeah. I
think you got to call up the 76ers and ask them where they're finding these street players for nothing, and just do it that way.
Yeah, they're poorly run right now. I don't know how they could shed that much salary though.
Well, yeah. Who the hell wants Tyreek Evans?
Yeah, I think they're in a bad spot. Davis has to find a way to get out.
Demand a trade, I guess, is the only way you could do it. I'm not sure how if you're in New Orleans, in any scenario, you can trade the best asset in the league, but something's going to happen. I'm not sure what it is, but his agent's going to look at that situation and see how bad it's going to be for the next 5 years, and maybe they work something out. I don't know.
Your prediction of San Diego and OKC in the Western Finals looks really good. A lot better than mine of Houston and the Clippers.
Yeah, Golden State, I thought they would take a little step back. They somehow took a step forward, so they'll probably ruin the prediction for one side, but you got to think that one of those teams is going to play against them.
Who would be the ideal fourth team for the Final Four in the West with San Diego, OKC, and Golden State? Who would be the ideal fourth team?
The team that I think you got to say the Clippers, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can't think of anybody
drama.
else. Yeah, I think that would be a fantastic Western semifinals. Those four teams going at it would be fantastic.
I think that's probably how it's going to happen. If that Dwight Howard deal to Portland would have happened, I think I would rather see Portland. But just with Lillard and McCollum, I think that'd be exciting to watch in the playoffs. But yeah, I guess I gotta go to the Clippers just as a default.
You had OKC Cavs finals with OKC winning. Sticking with it?
I'm sticking with it. I can't bail them out. I mean, they're hot. Golden State would be too easy. I think I gotta stick with it.
I had Clippers Cavs with the Clippers winning it.
It's still alive.
It is still alive, but a do-over. I like the OKC pick.
Even if you could pick Golden State?
Yeah, I'm leaning OKC.
I like it.
Anything else you want to touch on in the NBA?
I wish the trade deadline would have been better. I think it's one of the more exciting deadlines in sports, but I can't remember one the past 15 years that was that boring as yesterday's.
Tomorrow night, Clippers, Warriors, and then Sunday, Cavs, Thunder.
Cavs Thunder should be fun. That'll be a good game.
One under-the-radar thing for tonight, worth mentioning, Iona Monmouth at 10 o'clock on ESPNU. The last time they played, there was a brawl with those Monmouth bench guys in Iona.
Good. I hope there's another one. I hope the bench mob does it over the top again.
It is interesting that they moved this game in New Jersey to 10 o'clock at night.
Somebody knows what they're doing. That's why.
A couple good NBA games this weekend. Obviously, Riviera. You want to give a quick update on Riviera?
Course played somewhat softer yesterday because of the rain, so you saw some good scores. I think it'll toughen up over the weekend. if you can spare an hour to watch it, it's a really, really good course to watch on TV. Dustin Johnson currently your leader at 8 under par. Not running away from anybody. There's a million guys at 4, 5, and 6, so worth a watch. At least an hour this weekend.
Yeah, pretty good weekend. Pretty good slate of college basketball games tomorrow. We can get more into that as we get closer to March.
Good sniff out on Duke the other night. I know you didn't make it official, but you had that one sniffed out.
Yeah, Roy Williams. I know that it would be unprecedented to fire Roy Williams, but he's cost them at least 3 games this year.
Oh, yeah. There's no one in their right mind that could tell me that one of the young coaches, or even if you brought a Brad Stevens back, I don't know if he would leave now, but Shaka, Brad Stevens, Miller, one of those guys, if they took over Carolina, instantly it becomes Kentucky, I think.
Oh, absolutely. They might have the best talent in the country.
Yeah.
I looked to see if there was any lines for tomorrow's games, but nothing out yet. We hit Villanova the other night, so we'll try and get somebody a winner next week.
Yeah, we might, maybe on Twitter we'll post something this weekend. I don't know who Maryland plays, but they just lost to a horrific Minnesota team, so a bounce-back bet might be in order here.
Yeah, that, and we need Ted Shreba to pinch hit for Jordan Spieth.
Course record holder.
Great job by you today, bud. Enjoy the weekend.
You too, buddy. It was fun.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.